Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of the Red Loosey podcast. Today I've heard a rumour that a few authors are going to be popping down to Busselton and I've decided to see what's going on. And I've already found Frané Lessac. For those of you who don't know who she is, Frané Lessac is author-illustrator of over 40 children's books and she has won tons of awards. The most recent being for her children's book, We Are Grateful, Orjali Haliga. And welcome, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Loosey. This is a great opportunity to come and see you.
It's brilliant to have you. So could you tell us a bit why we're here?
Well, we're all on our way down to Margaret River. We've been having this retreat for published authors and illustrators from the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, or as we call Squibby. Mm-hmm. And so we go for a couple of days and we do professional development and we let our hair down and
sounds
catch
like
up.
fun.
It's heaven.
That's awesome. As I mentioned, as well as writing, you also illustrate. So I love your illustrations. What's your favourite art medium to illustrate in?
Well, all my books, surprisingly, are done with the same medium, which is
Really?
gouache paints. Yeah, ever since I started, which is like a very heavy watercolor, and it makes it very bright and opaque. What I love about the gouache is if I make a mistake, I can paint over and fix it.
Yeah, that's a good thing with watercolor.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I like about it.
So they're just a bit more
brighter, opaque. Yeah, so I could just do layers, painting layers, and
so beautiful
colors like that.
And you illustrate all your books?
Illustrate by hand.
By hand.
They call me an analog painter because a lot of my friends now use
computers and machines.
Yeah, Photoshop, and I would love to learn, but it's always 10 steps forward.
I know.
50 back.
Yeah,
I can't do it. But anyway, I will try one day. But meanwhile, I'm just doing it. I'm an analog illustrator.
Yeah. How does that work? When you're do you paint and then take a picture of it or send it to the publisher? How does it work?
Well, after all the paintings are done, I wrap them up and really good, and I mail them, I ship them.
Wow.
And then I hold my breath.
Yeah.
I don't breathe. I inhale like this and then wait for days until I exhale. Yeah. Sometimes they're going all the way to New York or London.
Oh, that's
across Australia,
terrifying.
even though it is terrifying because if I have to
redo them
all over again, it's scary. So yeah.
Do you have when you mail them off, has they ever not worked or not came through the other end?
One time they got there at the other end. They photographed them at the other end.
Yeah.
And then they lost them.
No.
Yes, a whole book.
Horrible.
But it was lucky because they already did the print. Got the scans for the actual book.
So do you keep them or do they have them over there?
After it's done, I get all the original artwork back.
So you have a pile of all your art?
Yeah, different drawers. Some books I take the whole, all the artwork and everything from it, and I'll sell it or I'll donate it to a center of some sort.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love your art. It's so lovely.
Yeah, it's bright.
What is your writing process? Do you plan your stories or just write?
Well, a lot of my books are nonfiction. So I do a lot of research and gathering up facts that I find are really curious. And I'll find something and think, oh, that's so cool. Kids would love to know about that. So I keep files of all the little bits and pieces. And I should say I'm what we would call a conceptual author. I got lots of ideas, but I need a lot of help with my grammar.
Yeah.
I was absent the day they taught English. So I really, editors are there, they help me, and friends, you'll be talking to Meg Mckinlay shortly, and I'll send stuff to her, say, Meg, look at this mess, and she'll anyway, I do get help, but so that's my process really, is gathering up facts, gathering up ideas, and then try to assemble it.
In your book, A is for Australian animals. Right here, A is for Australian animals. You write about animals from all over Australia. Have you seen them all in the wild?
I think almost all of them. I
really?
have. Yeah. So Tasmanian devils and dingoes. Just trying to think. Oh, no, I don't know. I think I've seen everything.
Everything. I was looking through there and I haven't even seen half of those animals. I didn't know they existed.
Well, the funny thing is that some of the animals and the names, because the book also came out in America, they never even heard of the names.
Really?
I mean, you would have heard of a bilby.
Yeah.
They've never heard of a bilby.
Really?
You'll know what a quokka is. They've never heard of a quokka.
That's crazy.
Quoll, they don't know. No, it's the irukandji jellyfish. I mean, that's one that a lot of people don't know about in Australia, but it's definitely not overseas.
Yeah, did they say, have you just been lying to us about all the animals when you sent it? Because you could have.
I know. It sounds like a beautiful lie, but
Yeah.
it's true.
Wow. What's your favourite animal? Simple. We've written about tons.
Tons. Okay, my favorite animal in the book, probably, just trying to think. I do love the Tassie Devils, which I mentioned. But probably wouldn't be in the book. It would be my next one. I love whales.
Whales.
And I just did you have it here, Australian Baby Animals. Mm-hmm. And I love the, it's actually in a book I'm working on at the moment.
Ooh.
The whale, I've got a whale shark in there.
Could you tell us a bit about that?
Okay, so it's like it's going to be an under the sea counting book. So one's a whale shark, and that's one of my favorite animals.
Have you ever swam with whale sharks?
No, but I'm going to. Have you ever done that?
I haven't, but I've been to Ningaloo Reef. And I've been to, we gone whale watching, and I didn't want to. We never did, but now when we left, I was like, I need to go next time. So it's on my bucket list.
Yeah,
I would love to.
Me too. So I know now's the season, so I'd love to do that.
And what is the hardest part about your illustrating?
It's the hardest, but I think the most rewarding is that research. Is making sure what I'm putting in my books, because it's factual, is correct.
Yeah.
I can't use Wikipedia.
No.
And I got to get 3 sources that are really reputable sources that are, so that's the hard part, making sure everything I write has been fact-checked that way.
How long does that process last?
Could go for a couple of months at least. But I also, at the same time, even though it's hard, as I say, it is fun because I'm learning so much. Every book I do, I learn so much.
You must have so
about
much.
The subject. Well, no, I'm like a goldfish. It goes in,
goes out the other end.
And I forget. So I read even my own books, and all of a sudden I'll think, wow, that's really cool. Oh, wow, I wrote that.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you want children to get from your writing? What do you want them to take away?
Okay. I think what I'd love for them to get is just to learn subliminally through the pictures and the words that they don't even know they're learning, and also to instill more curiosity. So they'll read about something and they think, wow, I'd like to find out more about that. And so pursue further reading about something. And to be in awe and wonder of the world, like Under the Southern Cross, about the night sky and going out there, trying to find the constellations and just think about, wow, what's out there.
Yeah. Now, I go to school, I research about animals, but when I read your books, even though they're children's books, I was like, wow, this is incredible, because I was just learning so much, and I think you're spreading that message and helping kids to learn more about all these amazing animals really well.
And some of them are really fun things, like my new book, the Under the Sea one, about parrot fish. Do you know about parrot fish?
I've heard of a parrot fish. I don't know what they look like.
Okay, there's 2 really cool facts about them that I love. One is that when they go to sleep at night, they make this mucus sleeping bag they sleep in to protect themselves.
That's crazy.
Better yet, they munch on coral. They have about 1,000 teeth.
That's scary.
And they poop out sand. So most of the sand on beaches we're walking on is parrotfish poop.
That's crazy.
I know, I love it though.
How do they do that?
I don't know. I've never tried it myself.
No. Oh, wow. That's incredible. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Loosey. This has been so much fun.
It's been amazing. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Look who's turned up. It's Meg Mckinlay. Would you like to come in for a few questions?
And look what I brought with me. What a coincidence.
Catch a falling star.
I was just browsing the shelves at Dymocks Busselton, and here I am.
I love that book so much. I love Catch a Falling Star. So nice.
You've told me that so many times, Loosey, but it never gets old. And one of my most favourite photos in the whole world is of you at my book launch, just hugging this book to your chest.
Oh, it was honestly just amazing.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, and scene.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, this is Meg Mckinlay. Just like Frané, she has won and been shortlisted for lots of awards for her chapter books and children's books.
Don't compare me to Frané. We have nothing in common.
Now, let's get into some questions.
Okay, I'm feeling a bit nervous because I was lurking outside and I heard a little bit of Frané's interview and I realised this is going to be quite hard hitting.
No, you can do it. I believe in you.
Right.
So, A Single Stone and Catch a Falling Star are your two most recent novels or middle grade chapter books. They're both fiction, but A Single Stone is more dystopian, while Catch a Falling Star has more historical elements.
Yes.
Which did you prefer writing?
Oh, which did I prefer writing? Oh, look, often what I say to questions like that is, I can't possibly choose.
Yeah.
But in this case, I think I can possibly choose because I think I preferred writing Catch a Falling Star. Mm-hmm. I love the ideas behind A Single Stone. I'm really proud of that book. I'm proud of the way that it came out, but it was difficult to write. Mm-hmm. Caused me lots of problems, structural problems, conceptual problems, all that type problems. Catch a Falling Star, again, it was difficult in different ways, but I think it felt closer to me while I was writing it, and that's probably because it's grown out of some experiences that I myself have had, and I felt close to the character. So I think I felt connected to that story in a way that I wasn't quite as closely connected to the world and the characters of A Single Stone. And so that sense of familiarity and warmth towards the characters and the world pulled me through Catch a Falling Star in, I guess, an easier, more satisfying way in the process. Yeah. But I feel equally strongly about both books now. Yeah. But Catch a Falling Star was probably more fun to write, I'd say. Yeah. And also because it was a return for me to the 1970s, which is, when I was a young person. So there was a lot of fun in that as well. Yeah.
What difficulties did you have when you were writing A Single Stone that was easier, that made it harder than Catch a Falling Star?
I guess, A Single Stone, it's a much longer book. It's about twice the length. I had to create the whole world in A Single Stone. So I had to make sure that the world hung together. I mean, it's a world that's like ours. I didn't have to invent, physics or magic or anything like that. So that was okay. But it's a self-contained world in which certain resources aren't available, and so I had to contain things in a way that made logical sense and think about how the world and the village was constructed and those sorts of things. And I get very impatient with things like that. I know some writers love to do that sort of research, but I just like to get into the writing, and for me it's about the characters and the themes and that sort of thing. So I was quite impatient with having to make all of that work and function structurally, and so that was difficult. But also, the longer a book is, at every point, I often think when I'm writing, because I'm not good with structure, I'm not naturally good with structure, I think of it's like a choose your own adventure book, that almost at the end of every sort of scene, it could go in half a dozen ways. And you multiply that by however many scenes there are in the book, there's so many choices. And my creative brain sort of sees so many of those, and then I, if the book is longer, I'll go down many more dead ends. And I guess what I'm saying to you is I'm not a good planner of books. I don't plan. I discover the story as I write. And so that was very difficult in a longer book, and a book in which there was so much scope. Whereas, in Catch a Falling Star, it was Skylab is coming down. At the end, it's going to be down. So there were these fixed points.
So are you going to write another middle grade book in the future? And if you are, would it be more dystopian or historical?
Well, funny you should ask me that. And it's almost like we've talked about this in advance, but we haven't.
We have not.
I assure you. I've actually got a grant from the Australia Council at the moment, so I'm working on a sequel to A Single Stone at the moment. So I wrote it as a standalone, and when it first came out, and a lot of people said, is there going to be a sequel? And I said, no, it doesn't need a sequel. It's finished. Even though it kind of finishes on an open note, and there's a lot of questions that aren't answered. I'm fine with that. I don't need closure at the end of a book. In fact, I'm sort of anti-closure. I like to leave the reader with some things to think about. So I didn't really care that there are readers emailing me and criticising me online and saying, the book isn't finished, there's all this stuff, and then it just stops. I think, well, maybe you're not the best reader for my book because I don't see it in that way, and some other people don't as well. So I'm not doing the sequel in order to please anyone else.
Yeah.
And in fact, if I was a sensible author, you know, I think A Single Stone came out in 2015.
Yeah.
So logically, the sequel should come out a year later, perhaps two. But I'm just working on it now. So at the pace that I write, it's going to be another 2 or 3 years at least before it comes out, if I can even make it work. And talking to you about the problems of A Single Stone now is making me think, do I really want to go back there? But I think it's going to be easier now because the world and the characters are in place. I hope so. But what happened was I started to feel like there were questions. There were questions that I wanted to explore. Yeah. Questions that I feel like I have sort of raised at the end of the book. And not everyone's picked up on those. But there's more story. And I'm interested in that story now. So that's why I'm doing it. If I'm not interested, then
it's your book.
Yeah, I'm not going to take it on. Because it's a big enterprise to write a book.
Certainly.
And you've got to be keen on what you're doing for your own reasons, or it'll just be so difficult.
Well, if that comes out, I'm very excited.
Well, you know, I hope it will.
Pressure.
You might be 21
Yeah.
by the time it does, but it will make a good present for your 21st.
Yeah, totally.
And someone will give it to you, and you'll be a totally different person, and you'll go, what? I wanted a silver key or a around the world ticket.
Yeah, I think I'll be like, Meg Mckinlay, no way, this is amazing.
That would be lovely.
Yes.
And I mean, a book is like a round the world ticket and a silver key.
Yeah, it takes you wherever you want.
Isn't it? Look at that.
And
metaphor.
So amazing. I know you've talked about a bit with your, I talked a bit about your struggle with writing A Single Stone, but was that the hardest part of writing? What do you find most hard, with all your books, the most hard bit in the process?
The hardest part for me is always the structure. Yeah, I'm not a plotter.
No.
and in terms of how I approach books as a reader as well, plot is kind of the thing that I'm least interested in, which may sound, and it sounds strange to a lot of people because they want to know what happens at the end of the book, but I'm the kind of person who, I don't really care about spoilers either, because to me, if what happens at the end is kind of the main point of the book, I'm not interested in the journey of the book. So plot has never been that much of a thing for me. I want character, and I want ideas, and I want to make me think about the world and that sort of thing. So I've never been reading for plot, and so I didn't start out writing with plot in mind either. I'm not a natural storyteller. So it is structure and pacing, I guess. Yeah. Because I like to go off on little tangents. You mean? Oh, yeah. Yes.
I understand.
Yeah. Well, because I always love my characters, and I want to spend time with them, and that means always getting inside their heads. And so I can tend to spend a bit too much time in their heads and actually forget to have things happen, which possibly sounds a little bit strange. But when I finished A Single Stone, I actually said to my husband, this book is as Bruce Willis as I'm going to get. And Bruce Willis may not mean anything to your listeners or viewers because he's an older actor, but he's kind of an action hero. And what I meant by that was, to me, this is a high concept, heavily plot driven, fast paced action book, or at least it's as close as I'll get. But then as soon as it came out, reviewers started saying, oh, it's so quiet and beautiful, and it's this and it's that, and things happen, but they're slow and thoughtful. And I thought, wow, okay. And then other people were saying, well, hardly anything happens. That's just the way that I am, so it is structure. It's remembering that along the way there need to be key turning points where things change and happen, and not just my characters inside their heads thinking about stuff all the time, because that's the person that I am as well. I don't need to do that much stuff. I like to think about stuff. I
feel like when I write, I always love my characters so much because I get so involved with them, and I just want to write about them, and it's who cares about anything else? It's my children, it's I love them.
And I think that's a great place to be, and you don't need to be concerned about that. Spend as much time in that place when you're writing as you need to, but then at a certain point take a step back and go, all right, so where are my plot points? Where are my points of change? But But I suggest for anyone who's writing that you do want to spend that intensive time with your characters. Let yourself do that, because there's a lot of readers out there, and I'm probably that. There's a lot of readers out there, and I'm probably their leader, who, if they don't have a character that they feel connected to, they're not going to care about the plot. So I just always think it's important to establish that strong sense of authentic character that's going to feel real, and it embeds you in the book as well. You know, it's going to be a long slog to get this book written. You want to feel connected in a way that's important to you, that's going to sustain your interest as well.
Totally.
Yeah. So whatever it is that you enjoy the most about writing, don't ever let anybody tell you, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. That's self-indulgent. Maybe it is. That's not a bad thing. Just make sure that you balance it out with the other bits and pieces as well. Yeah.
Awesome. What is kind of the opposite, the best thing about your writing? What do you enjoy the most?
This is going to sound really strange, but I just love it when I write a good sentence.
You know, I totally understand. I get that.
When, it says what you want in an unusual way, like a striking way, and it also has a pleasing rhythm. Like it's got to have a bunch of different elements. It's got to be kind of perfectly weighted, if that makes sense. You know, when you pick something up like a stone and it just feels right in your hand.
A single stone.
Exactly, thank you.
I had to.
Or you catch a star and you just go, wow,
a falling star.
That's right. But some things just feel right in your hand, and a sentence has a weight, I think. And sometimes you get to the end of a sentence and you go, that for me, that's the most satisfying thing. And obviously, you can't spend too much time being excited about individual sentences, but again, self-indulgent, perhaps, but super important to me. And it is something that some readers and reviewers do remark upon in my work. That every sentence seems carefully chosen and paced, that there's a poetry to it. And that's really satisfying to me, because I'm a slow writer, and that's one of the reasons. And the fact that people are picking up on that, or even if they don't pick up, if they don't pick up on it specifically and directly seeing what I'm doing, but if they get the feeling that generates, that is wonderful to me.
Well, thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure for me too.
It's been so amazing.
You're
Thank
very
you so
welcome.
much.
You are very welcome. That's a nice sentence.